Dobrý den, dámy a pánové, milé kolegyně, milí kolegové, přátelé. Vítejte v Telči. Vítejte na 25. ročníku konference Hodnocení kvality vysokých škol. We are very happy to have our foreign guests here. Warmly welcome. Herzlich willkommen. Seja calorosamente bem-vindo. Srdečně vítám. I hope you will enjoy discussions with us and also stay in a beautiful stage. Dovolte, abych vás přivítala. Some technical issue. Zkusíme teď. Pořád ještě dvakrát. Sice 25. ročník, ale dvakrát se slyšet. Mám zkoušet. 1, 2, 3. Už je to dobré? Výborně. Tak děkuju moc. První zádrhel za námi, tak doufám, že to je ten největší. Dovolte, abych vás přivítala jménem celého organizačního týmu odboru pro kvalitu rektorátu Masarykovy univerzity a také univerzitního centra Telč. A také abych vás přivítala jménem těch, kteří se o konferenci starali a pečovali přede mnou. Ať už to byla Soňa Nantlová, Šárka Řehořová anebo Petr Černíkovský. Také díky nim můžeme dnes strávit 2 příjemné dny plné inspirativních debat, diskuzí o možná věcném či věčném tématu zajišťování kvality. Doufám, že si užijete pobyt v Telči. A nyní dovolte, abych předala slovo panu Martinu Barešovi, rektorovi Masarykovy univerzity, na krátké zahájení.
Já velice děkuji paní ředitelce Oleksikové za předání slova a za pozdravení vás všech. Současně bych opravdu velmi poděkoval za skvělou organizaci, která určitě se ukáže, budeme to hodnotit zítra odpoledne. Opravdu to poděkování je i z mé strany všem těm, kteří i v minulosti se o tuto konferenci starali, protože máme vlastně 25 let, to je čtvrtstoletí výročí a je to velký počin. Původně malá konference, která se týkala kvality, hodnocení kvality vysokých škol, přerostla, myslím si, že velmi zajímavou platformu, která umožňuje nám sdílet naše zkušenosti, kriticky se podívat na to, co děláme v našem vysokoškolském prostředí. A já bych vypíchl jednu důležitou věc, a bohužel to ještě vídáme doposud nyní i například při projednávání různých řízení na vědeckých radách a tak dále, že se daleko více akcentuje, což je i logické, protože ty výsledky jsou viditelnější, výsledky vědecké, grantové a tak dále. Nicméně bez toho vzdělávání není žádný vědecký výkon, není žádný vědec či vědkyně a v tom musíme toho si musíme být vědomi a nadále pěstovat a kultivovat kvalitu na našich vysokých školách a univerzitách. Mám také radost, že je zde zastoupení i nejvyšších představitelů dalších vysokých škol či univerzit. To je dobře, protože v tomto prostoru České republiky myslím, že sdílení zkušeností a diskuse jsou více než potřebné. A současně bych také vám popřál i abyste si užili i tu případnou neformálnější část a také na dálku, nevím, jestli tady je mezi námi pan ředitel Makovec, pokud není, tak ale on to ode mě ví, ale já to budu říkat pořád dokola, protože je to věc, která nesouvisí úplně s kvalitou, ale souvisí s univerzitním centrem v Telči a souvisí s kulturním, bych řekl, naším vstupem do péče o kulturní odkaz v různých to rovinách. A sbírka Míly Doležalové je asi 14 dní v majetku naší Masarykovy univerzity. A to bych opravdu velmi, velmi za to poděkoval, protože to je autorka, která má opravdu velký, ještě bych řekl, takový ten, ne že potenciál, ale k tomu, určitě potenciál k tomu, aby byla ještě známější, protože je opravdu úžasná. A kdo tu výstavu neviděl, velmi ji doporučuji. I would like to also to welcome here our distinguished guests. I am so glad and very glad that you are here with us and that you traveled to Renaissance town of Telč from your countries, and I hope that we will have, I'm pretty sure that we will have the opportunity to discuss different aspects of quality of education, how to approach our study curricula and so on, and to have the international experience and feedback is for us very important, and because the education doesn't have any boundaries, doesn't have any borders, so I'm glad that we can discuss this topic with you as well. And I hope that you will enjoy your stay here in Telč. Nice town, nice surrounding, nature, cultural heritage. I think it's very obvious. So thank you again. Děkuji vám ještě jednou a budu se těšit na diskuse. A spíš bych chtěl poslouchat, i když já to nikdy nevydržím, takže zase budu určitě diskutovat. Ještě jednou vás vítám a děkuji. Thank you.
Moc děkuji panu rektorovi a doufám, že opravdu ty diskuze budou. Máme letos konferenci postavenou tak, aby jsme věnovali nejvíc času právě diskuzím a vzájemnému naslouchání. Nyní poprosím Michala Bulanta, prorektora pro vzdělávání a kvalitu Masarykovy univerzity, aby krátce otevřel konferenci mírným ohlédnutím do historie.
Děkuji moc. Milé dámy, milí pánové, i já vám přeji příjemné dopoledne tady v konírně Telčského zámku. Jsem hrozně rád, že se tady pravidelně scházíme. Děkuji Katce Oleksíkové za úvod, zejména za to, že zmínila ty nejzásadnější kolegyně a kolegy, kteří tu konferenci aspoň pro Masarykovu univerzitu v posledních 15 letech a obecně, jak už jsme si řekli, od toho roku 2009 připravují. Já možná, protože to ohlédnutí je míněno nejenom retrospektivně historické, ale trošku i s nadhledem a s nadsázkou, doufám, tak doufám, že to tak budete i vnímat, tak si dovolím také takové odlehčení na začátek a poděkování, protože ta příprava konference není jednoduchá. Kolegyně, kolegové z odboru pro kvalitu museli obětovat poslední 2 dny soutěže výzvy do práce na kole, protože jejich tým kvalichodkyně je jeden z nejlepších na rektorátu dosud a obávám se, že ztratí několik míst na žebříčku kvůli této konferenci, ale pokud teda nešli do Telče pěšky, nešli. Někdy ta doprava je taková, že skoro by se to hodilo, ale takže děkuji i za tuto konferenci. A děkuji za přípravu prezentace, protože samozřejmě já lecos pamatuji, ale někteří, jak už bylo naznačeno, pamatují i víc. Tak já si vezmu prezentér. Děkuju. No, na začátek, už to tam, myslím, zahlédli. Na začátek, tak je to, ještě se ho zapnu. Tak hned otázka. Tak, doufám, že i ten lehce smrštěný QR kód bude pro vaše zařízení čitelný, tak já vás poprosím, abyste jej naskenovali a odpověděli nám na tu otázku, ve kterém roce jste byli na HKVŠ poprvé. Já nebudu skenovat, abych se zbytečně nerozptyloval, tak já vám to řeknu. Já jsem byl na konferenci, pokud mě paměť slouží, v roce 2012 poprvé. Paměť mě slouží omezeně, protože před 2 lety při jiné příležitosti jsem se ubytoval v hotelu u Kamenného Slunce, nebo v penzionu Kamenného Slunce, což je takový velmi pěkný penzionek na kraji náměstí. A až teprve, když jsem tam přišel, tak jsem si uvědomil, že to je přesně ten penzion, kde jsem se ubytoval v tom roce 2012. A co ještě, abych ten oslí můstek k panu rektorovi teď dokončil, až na místě jsem se dozvěděl, že to je přesně ten penzion, respektive dům, který si koupila Míla Doležalová v 70. letech, kdy v podstatě tady byla v jakémsi disidentském exilu. Tak to jenom na úvod. Tak já poprosím Honzu, jestli nám zobrazí odpovědi. Tak, jestli velikost odpovídá počtu odpovědí, tak vidím tam i číslo 2011, což je skvělé, protože asi nebudu vyzvídat, kdo to byl, aby to nevypadalo ageisticky. Tak máme zatím pouze 16 odpovědí, jestli dobře rozumím tomu číslu. A jo, ona není Wi-Fi. Tak to můžeme udělat, pokud se vám to nepovede, můžeme to udělat i trošku gamifikovat. Ví někdo heslo do konírny? Podtržítko. 2022. Ale to nemusíte odpovídat, jo, potom do toho slajda. To si tam napište ten skutečný rok. Tak, uvidíme, až nám začnou naskakovat další odpovědi. Dáme zpátky, jo, ještě. Honzo, ještě na ten velký. Mně to šlo, ale byl požadavek ze zadu, víš? Tak takovou nenásilnou formou vás všechny seznámíme s heslem na Wi-Fi, což se bude hodit ještě v dalším průběhu. Tak. Dáme vám šanci naskenovat QR kód. Tak, ještě vidím nějaké zvednuté fotoaparáty, tak ještě chviličku vydržíme. Nevím, jestli zástupcům Ministerstva školství a Národního akreditačního úřadu to funguje, až vzadu funguje. Protože na ně můžu prozradit, že tady určitě byli mnohokrát už, tak... Nevadí, přesuneme se dozadu, bylo to takový oslý můstek té historii, takže můžu, Honzo, poprosit, nebo to už je na mě. Tak, můžeme pokračovat v prezentaci. Ty roky byly tam, zahlédl jsem 2011 až letos, někteří jsou tu poprvé. Tak i z toho důvodu máme nachystanou tu prezentaci, která se věnuje historii této konference. Zkusíme další otázku, která uvidíme, jestli se nám sejdou nějaké odpovědi. Napište slovo nebo větu, která se vám ve vztahu ke konferenci vybaví jako první. Konference, protože pak ty věty, my jsme se soustředili na jednak jakýsi word cloud toho, co se objevovalo, jednak na podnadpisy těch jednotlivých konferencí a je docela ne inspirativní, ale spíš retrospektivně zajímavé se podívat, čemu jsme se věnovali. Být samozřejmě asi je jasné, že od roku 2016 nás všechny zajímala implementace novely zákona o vysokých školách. Tak, asi komu se podařilo, tak možná, Honzo, jestli můžu poprosit, jenom jestli máme nějaké výsledky. Jo, přibývá ještě. Tak, tady nám přibyly ruky. Tak, kvalita, samozřejmě máme 5 výsledků zatím, telč, přátelé, komunita, vzdělávání, já myslím, že to jsou, řekl bych, skvělá slova, skvělá hodnocení této konference, protože no, kvalita je asi jasný, že se objeví, je to ostatně slovo z názvu konference, ale i ta další slova jako přátelé, vzdělávání a komunita. Komunita zejména je pro mě velmi příjemné tady tohle vidět a je to i vysvědčení, nebo zejména vysvědčení nás všech a kolegyň a kolegů, kteří tu konferenci připraví. Já vás poprosím, ať klidně pokračujete v hlasování, pokud se vám podaří se připojit. A já bych přešel k té prezentaci. Můžu Honzu poprosit? A budu rychlejší, protože čas běží a nechci vás obírat o čas a naše drahé zahraniční kolegy. Tak jenom připomenu organizace konference od roku 2000 do roku 2009 se o konferenci starala Univerzita Jana Evangelisty Purkyně. V roce 2010 napadlo mě otázka, kterou já neumím zodpovědět, jestli to bylo u příležitosti 20 let od přejmenování naší univerzity z Univerzity Jana Evangelisty Purkyně na Masarykovu. Asi ne, ale je to taková zajímavá souvislost. V roce 2010 jsme se ujali této konference my, starala se o to především Soňa Nantlová, jak už bylo zmíněno. No a v letošním roce tedy máme 25. ročník. Samozřejmě je potřeba zmínit partnery konference, kteří přispívají svými myšlenkami, příspěvky, idejemi do programu konference, ať už v programovém výboru nebo i mimo něj. A to jsou Centrum pro studium vysokého školství, Rada vysokých škol, Česká konference rektorů a v posledních těch 10 letech Národní akreditační úřad. Jak už bylo zmíněno, máme 25. ročník, z toho 15 organizovaných Masarykovou univerzitou. Celkem touto konferencí prošlo více než 2000 účastníků napříč celým spektrem škol. Víte, že jsme oslovovali i v některých letech regionální školství, 24 zahraničních řečníků, vydali jsme 9 sborníků a máme za sebou nespočet zdokumentovaných pokusů o definici kvality. Klasická otázka, co je to kvalita. Naše konference se v průběhu svého trvání ustálila jako platforma pro informování o aktuálním vývoji a dění v oblasti zajišťování a hodnocení kvality, monitoring a zprostředkování zahraničních trendů, otevírání nových témat a diskusí. Pochopitelně ta komunita znamená zejména výměnu zkušeností a dobré praxe mezi jednotlivými vysokými školami a udržování kontaktů v rámci této komunity. Cílovou skupinou vždycky byli zejména členové vedení vysokých škol a fakult a administrativní pracovníci, kteří se kolem kvality jazykem těch posledních 10 let točí. Typicky tedy prorektoři a proděkani, vedoucí odborů a oddělení, které se věnují studijním záležitostem či akreditacím, ale i pedagogičtí pracovníci nebo metodici výuky, studenti či zástupci studentských reprezentací. No, jak už jsem zmínil, právě od roku 2015, protože v roce 2016 byla schválena novela velká zákona o vysokých školách, tak se začaly mezi účastníky postupně objevovat pozice, v jejichž názvu je kvalita. A tedy mnozí z vás, kterým se zajišťování a hodnocení kvality stalo hlavní pracovní náplní. Vývoj počtu účastníků v těch posledních 15 letech vlastně vždycky se odvíjel od prostorových kapacit těch míst, kde jsme tu konferenci chtěli nebo byli schopni pořádat, protože téměř vždy se naplnila kapacita až do posledního místa v posledních letech, tedy zhruba kolem té 100 účastníků, což je taky asi podle našeho názoru ten rozumný počet, který této konferenci sluší. Teď k těm zmíněným podtitulům konferencí, tak od toho roku 2010 současné trendy v hodnocení kvality, přes budování vnitřních systémů zajišťování kvality v roce 2013, až po asi 3 roky, kdy jsme reflektovali novelu zákona o vysokých školách, tedy v roce 2016 byly vrženy kostky, pak se měnily podmínky studijních programů a 2018 jsme se na to podívali nějak z reflexí první zkušenosti s proměnou studijních programů, protože dobře víte, že to byl rok, kdy nabíhaly první institucionální akreditace. Už jsme začínali schvalovat nové studijní programy uvnitř univerzit a podobně. V roce 2019 u příležitosti 10. ročníku konference pořádané Masarykovou univerzitou, tak jsme tu konferenci výjimečně uspořádali v Brně v univerzitním kině Skala. Vysoké školy v dialogu s vnějšími aktéry, velmi úspěšná konference co do počtu posluchačů i s ohledem na příspěvky z vnějšího prostředí, médií a podobně. V roce 2020 bylo plánované téma akademická etika a prevence plagiátorství, což jsme v tu klasickou konferenci naší hodnocení kvality zrušili kvůli covidu, nicméně byla nahrazena podzimní konferencí hybridní na Univerzitě Karlově se stejným názvem. No a v těch posledních 5 letech už se potom věnujeme opět tématům, která rezonují aktuálně, ať už to bylo doktorské studium velmi významně, nebo reflexe institucionálních akreditací, to, jakým způsobem vlastně ověřujeme výstupy z učení na vysokých školách a v letošním roce tedy téma konference od národních specifik k evropským standardům. Klíčová témata, ta jsou vlastně všechna odražena v těch podtitulech konferencí. Věnovali jsme se od hodnocení kvality vysokých škol přes diverzifikaci vysokých škol až po vzdělávání orientovanému na studenty, činnosti akreditační komise nebo Národního akreditačního úřadu, psychologickým a sociologickým pohledům na generaci současných vysokoškolských studentů a samozřejmě jsme se vždy velmi intenzivně věnovali novelám vysokoškolského zákona, jejich implementací, což je ostatně téma velmi aktuální i dnes. Tady pokus o nějaký ten oblak témat, která se tam objevují. Asi není náhoda, že to slovo kvalita se tam také jako největší objevuje, ale samozřejmě i ta slova vzdělávání, systém, hodnocení a podobně. S jakými novými pojmy se museli kvalitáři vypořádat? Tak jenom rychlým pohledem jsem tam objevil 2 termíny, které používal ať už současný náš pan rektor, tak předchozí náš pan rektor. No a jaké jsou největší obavy kvalitářů ohledně fungování jimi zaváděných procesů a opatření? Tak to je tradiční výrok, prosím tě, pošleš mi to vyplněné z Loňska? Jinými slovy to, aby kvalita nebyla o formulářích a o tom, že teda, když teda loni nám ten formulář prošel, tak letos musí taky a že tedy nejlepší řešení je nic neměnit a mít to vlastně stejně jako loni, když jsme uspěli. Tolik velmi stručná rekapitulace historie. Já věřím, že i dnešní konference a zítřejší konference hodnocení kvality vysokých škol pořádaná Masarykovou univerzitou ve spolupráci s těmi zmíněnými partnery bude pro vás stejně přínosná, jako tomu bylo v minulých letech a přeji vám inspirativně strávené 2 dny. Děkuji.
Mnohokrát děkuji za toto ohlédnutí. Thank you very much. And now I would like to invite our first guests, Rodrigo and Iring, and my colleague Jan Beseda from Center for Higher Education Studies for first panel discussion, and we have Jakob online, I hope so.
Thank you very much, Katka. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. So it's my big pleasure to chair and let's say moderate this session, which it's called, or let's say it's focused on quality assurance from European perspective. We will have 3 speakers. We will start also from geographically from the north. The first speaker will be Erik Wasser from Germany. He came from Düsseldorf. He's a director of accreditation agency of study program in engineering, informatics, natural science, and mathematics. Then we move to Brussels currently, where is our colleague Jakub Grudecký. He's policy officer at Russia, and he's from Poland. And now we also, just as one interesting thing, he has this year visited so many weddings, so he cannot be also today with us because he has some wedding on Saturday. So if you would like to know about quality, about assurance of wedding, he can ask him as well. And the last but not the least, from the south of Europe, is Rodrigo Teixeira Lourenco from Institute of Polytechnics in Setúbal. So we will have these three speeches at the beginning, and we will look firstly from agency perspective and on the quality assurance. The second perspective will be the institution, which is one key player setting up ESG, which is Russia. And the last but least will be perspective of institution and also of alliances, how alliances dealing with ESG and quality of assurance. So I think we can start, and the question will be after all three presentations. We leave the questions to the end. So if you have some kind of idea or comment you would like to add, please write it somewhere or note it, and we will discuss it in the end. So, Erik, floor is yours. Take mic.
Thank you very much, colleagues. Dobrý den. Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here. I would very much like to thank the rector and the vice rector of Masaryk University for having us in this beautiful location. Today I'm talking a little bit about quality assurance, which you might think is a boring topic. I think it's a very exciting topic. And once I retire, I plan actually to write a book about the hidden agenda and politics of accreditation, because after I finish my speech, I hope that you will agree that there's so much going on behind the curtains, which not many people are aware of. I start with like 2 minutes of presentation of my agency. We are located in the center of Europe, in the city of Düsseldorf. Now, what is the connection between Düsseldorf and the Czech Republic? The people in Düsseldorf brew beer. So if you go to downtown, you will find multiple century-old breweries, not like the big American companies, but small family-owned businesses. And you all are invited to join us at the Rhine River in Düsseldorf, which is among the most livable cities in the world, actually. One slide. Who we are, you can't see that who we are. We are quite a unicorn in the field of quality assurance, because our composition is different from all the others. When Azin was created 25 years ago, the founders, it was important for them to bring on board, on the one hand, the university leaderships, so the presidents of universities are members in Azin. At the same time, the faculties, so the faculties of engineering, the faculty of informatics, the deans are members. Then you have pretty much all the big technical committees, so something like the German Association of Engineers, the German Physical Society, big bodies in a way joined us. And number 4, we have like companies, I just like received this morning from BASF or Schaeffler, they participate in what we're doing. Our criteria, in other words, are actually defined by those who educate the students and those who in a way are employing students. So that's quite different from most agencies you will see, which are mainly vested in the education sector. What we do, a broad portfolio, of course, like on the one hand, traditionally the accreditation of bachelor, master and PhD programs, always institutional accreditation, which with quite a challenging model, which I'm going to present a little later. A big topic right now, that's the booming topic, is right now the certification of lifelong learning, all the famous micro-credentials, and there has to be like a way to actually do this. Azin is the only agency which is evaluating other agencies. So we, in a way, are commissioned sometimes by the European Quality Assurance Register to assist other agencies to fulfill the ESG. So we do that as a business. We are doing a lot of workshops and trainings. For example, I myself with USAID, and you all know the fate of USAID, which was closed recently by President Trump, which opens new doors for European universities and also like for agencies, because there's now a void which needs to be filled. And of course, a lot of consulting for regions. Azin has been pretty much all over the world doing like capacity building for ministries in Asia and Africa, pretty much all over the world. In terms of program accreditation, there are 14 technical committees for which there are not German standards, but European standards. So you will see all the engineering fields, all the natural science fields. Medicine is a new topic. Business, so these are the fields in program accreditation. These are our quality seals we deliver. So if a university is asking for a quality seal, they will receive on the one hand a German seal, but at the same time they can receive multiple European seals. So for example, the European Accredited Engineering Seal, which is based on European standards for engineering, the Euro Bachelor, Euro Master in Informatics, the Euro Bachelor Master in Chemistry, the seal of the World Federation of Medical Education. So our criteria are international by definition, and the quality seals we are giving are also international. Azin has founded an interesting organization which might be also interested for the people here in the room. In 2011, I brought together, that's my personal story, I assembled all European networks in the discipline fields. It's called the European Alliance for Professional Accreditation, and here you will find, for example, Pegasus, which is assembling all European agencies in the area of aerospace engineering. You will find an organization, ADEE, which brings together all the dentists in Europe. There's the European Physical Society, there's the European Biologists Association. In other words, it's the one resource in Europe and globally which is putting together European higher education networks in the disciplines. And if you are planning to do joint programs, if you're interested in learning outcomes, that's the resource to actually use. I then concluded an agreement with the American accreditors, which is the American Alliance of Professional Accreditation. Maybe ABIT is known to you. And I'm currently trying to, in a way, organize the Asian continent, because in Asia you do not have this philosophy of field-specific quality assurance for programs. So that's on the political level. You can see we are by a far standard the most international of all quality assurance agencies, operating in almost 70 countries all around the globe. And I will tell you, because this is voluntary, so why would a university, for God's sake, pay money so that an Azin team is actually giving them a seal? Completely voluntary, because there is national obligation. And I'm trying to explain to you what is the motivation behind it. Why are we doing what we are doing? We have only two accreditation procedures in the Czech Republic. As you cannot see this, there was one medical program accredited in Palachi University in Olmos, and the other one was an institutional accreditation at the University of Ostra. Those are the only two procedures we did in Czech Republic. I don't know whether you can see that, but this is, so to speak, in a nutshell, why we are sitting here. This is the politics of accreditation. So why are universities interested in quality assurance? Some of universities, again, it's voluntary, say we are inviting an international accreditation team to get external feedback. We have international experts with whom we are discussing the way forward in institutional development and program development. So that might be one motivation. One of the amazing facts in international quality assurance politics is this one here, the ranking system. If you go to Asian countries, right now Indonesia, Vietnam, Thailand, or to Central Asia, the number one concern of the rectors of these universities is how can we advance in international rankings? And since quality assurance and international accreditation is one of the key components of international ranking systems, the ministries of these countries in Indonesia are paying millions of dollars to, in a way, invest in international accreditation procedures to move their flagship universities up in the rankings. The more prominent you are, the more you can sell your products, the more you are attractive to students. So that is the ranking discussion, a close connection between accreditation and ranking. Here comes the topic of international and academic mobility, right? It's very important for all students. I still remember the discussions when we started accreditation. The best universities said, we don't like accreditation, we are the best, why would we need that? The same guys were the very first, 1 minute later, they actually were knocking at the door and said, please accredit our international master programs, because that was the only way to, in a way, attract the wealthy students from the United States and Asia who would expect that. And as you can see here, perhaps not many people know about this, but in Europe, we have the database of external quality assurance, institutionalized by the close to 50 ministers of education. They, some 10 years ago, established what is called the DQR, the database of external quality assurance results, the accreditation database, essentially. And that is, so to speak, the one source of information which is used by universities, which is used by recognition authorities, which theoretically is used by the Eric Narix, which is used by the Czech ministry, maybe. Because in this database, there's the information, the whitelist of accredited institutions and programs. Now, I just came back from Japan, where the global community of accreditors are meeting. And by the year, and I think that's something which is revolutionary, which is unheard of in the history of higher education. By the end of 2026, my guess is more like the beginning of 2027, under the umbrella of UNESCO and INQUAHE, which is like the global network of agencies, there will be a global database for the first time in history, a global database where accredited programs, doesn't matter whether they are from the American continent or the European, the database, which I just presented, or from the Asian, so you will have one source of information which is useful in fighting then the accreditation mills, in fighting the degree mills. You know, that's why this topic of quality academic recognition is so important. So that's another issue that's why you are sitting here. The next one is, if you go here to consumer protection, it's funny to know that, for example, President Trump, one of his many business failures was the creation of the Trump University. And back in 2010, there was a court, and if I continue, you already see, if I'm writing my book, this place has a role when we today talk about Harvard, and when we talk about, so to speak, the accreditation system. And when you know that the accreditors in the United States are paying a lot of money for lawyers, because right now when you're accrediting programs and you're touching topics of diversity, when you're touching inclusion, when you talk about foreign students, for the first time politics is regulating and giving, so to speak, you know, all kinds of threats to the accreditors. And in order to protect themselves, they are paying a lot of money for the lawyers. So it shows you the politics of accreditation. Right now, a hot topic, you probably will pursue the discussion, you know, on the news. Harvard is only, like, so to speak, the flagship. But under the umbrella of Harvard, lots of things are happening right now. So that's consumer protection. I don't know whether you in the Czech Republic have, like, mainly, of course, like state universities. There might be some private. I'm not sure whether you have a lot of problems with the private institutions. But essentially, quality assurance and accreditation should, in a way, make sure that so no fraudulent things are happening. Quality assurance, business relations. I showed you my own agency. We are, in a way, are making sure that our decisions, our work, in a way, are supported by industry. And what I always observe, the same is true for this conference here, you will not find a single representative of the Czech industry which is interested in anything you're doing. I'm not sure, I'm speculating, I'm not sure whether Czech industry has a say when it comes to the reform of the Czech higher education system. I would say probably not, probably not. So you somehow wonder why something which is, so to speak, so important for the professional and academic mobility and for, in a way, educating the next generation, why this doesn't, in a way, invite people from industry to be present here and to discuss with you how to educate graduates which are fit for the labor market. So that's a topic. Here, of course, you will hear from my colleague, Rodrigo, about the European universities, which of course is a tremendous thing going on right now. There are two things in European politics which are interesting. One is that President Macron had the idea to, in a way, push Europe forward by doing two things. On the one hand, he was establishing the famous European universities, where 7 or 8 universities from 7 or 8 different countries in Europe get together, and they, in a way, establish a European university, bringing together the strength and the research capabilities of those universities. And at the same time, the European discussion is talking about European degrees, so that a student from the Czech Republic in the future can go for 1 semester to Ostrava, and the next one he goes to Berlin, then he goes to Paris. That's a unique thing, and I just wonder, are we good in Europe in selling this idea of European universities? Until this very day, we don't have any mechanism to, in a way, quality assure and accredit these programs. And imagine how difficult this is if you have like 7 or different rectors with different interests. How are you going to operationalize this, this university? So in other words, colleagues, when you are sitting here, this is the context of your work. It has everything to do with the position of a national system, how popular the Czech system of higher education is, how well you attract foreign students, whether you are interested or not, how well your degrees are recognized. There is politics involved on a large scale. And what I also observe is there are 2 or 3 countries which are good at this. So I'll give you the example, politics of accreditation. When I look to the British colleagues, there's a strategic approach for British universities and the higher education sector to in a way promote British education. You will see in the same room the British Council, which is, so to speak, you can also say the German DAAD. So that's the organization, the British Council, which in a way is giving stipends to students. Next to the guy is sitting the British Quality Assurance Agency, QAA, which in a way is accrediting the courses. Next to the QAA, you will find Times Higher Education rankings. They are defining the global standards in a way and are, so to speak, directing the course of accreditation. And then there is the British government, which in a way is going to the Commonwealth countries, and they are having a strategy for Indonesia, multi-million, and they are investing, and they are recruiting the best students, they're getting the best workforce. If I can compare this to my own country, nothing. The German Rectors Conference is working completely isolated from the DAAD. They have no clue what the ministries are doing. The right hand doesn't know what the left hand is doing. I've been trying to streamline this and tell my own people, do something, think, define a national agenda. You will know in your own country whether the Czech Republic is good in doing this, in bringing together the different actors, including industry, by the way. So that's, I think, always an interesting topic. I'm getting like into, you know, when you're discussing these topics, I'm getting out of things, but I'm closing pretty soon. So why are then universities in a way asking for an ASEAN accreditation? We do things probably different than most agencies in a number of ways when our experts are going. Usually accreditation, you send an expert team, 3 or 4 guys, and they are actually looking into a program. Here you have like continentally agreed learning outcomes. So all stakeholders in Europe have defined what they expect from a master in civil engineering. Or we have defined what a bachelor in physics should know. And this has been discussed with all the European stakeholders. So we are operating on the level of agreed learning outcomes. Second, many agencies are looking into the plans of students. Our teams are looking not in the intended learning outcomes, but into the achieved learning outcomes. So as one part of the accreditation process, they also will look, for example, in student work. They will have a concrete look in the, so to speak, bachelor thesis, capstone projects, and they make an evaluation of what has been promised to the students actually is also achieved. They will look at the tracer studies. So where are the graduates working? If we accredit in China and in Indonesia, they will tell us 100% of our graduates get a job within 8 weeks. When you then actually ask where are the tracer studies, you will see that 20% are working for McDonald's, 20% are actually driving a taxi. So it's the quality of the job which needs to be demonstrated by the person, by the program coordinator who's offering the program. So does the rector of Masaryk University have a clear picture? Do you not have a clear picture whether your graduates are really successful, how you compare to others? So is this information generated within your quality assurance system? Probably yes, but I mean, this kind of information plays a role here. We are using, like you just did, like the vice rector just did, we are using, when our teams come on site, we do an interview, how do you call this? A feedback, so a survey. So the students who sometimes are scared to talk when you go to China, they are told what to say. But if they have the chance to do like an online survey like you did, you will gather information how satisfied they really are. They will never say so publicly, but this is an element which is a game changer. Our teams consist always of German professors, and in the case then of the Czech Republic, we also include 1 or 2 Czech experts, so that the knowledge about the national system is there in the team. In institutional accreditation, this is the most, and I say that, frankly, I consider this to be the most advanced institutional quality assurance system in the market. Why do I say so? Because this is an extremely challenging model for both sides. For the experts, they have to be mentally fit, which there are not so many which actually achieve that. They have to distinguish, because our seal says, Azin confirms that the university guarantees the institutional, procedural, and cultural framework for good teaching and learning. So what we are asking is institutional. Who at Masaryk University is in charge? Who makes the decision? Is it the rector? Is it the rectorate? Is it the dean? Is it the program coordinator? Is it the quality teacher? So that's the question about institutional arrangements. Who's in charge? Who's responsible? Next one would be the procedural level. You then are evaluating what are the appropriate tools, what are the instruments, what are the quality assurance tools you're using. So that's about instruments. And the last one is about the cultural effect. You're asking the question, who knows? Who's aware of? Who participates? And I've like a nice thing. I recently was at a university in Cyprus. And when I came there were mirrors. In every single room, there were like 5 or 6 mirrors. The entire university was in a way covered with mirrors. And under the mirror, there was a sentence, guess who's responsible for quality assurance? This simple question. That's about culture. So is this something which you in a way have to, in a way, I probably say yes. Usually quality assurance is about work. It's about forcing people to do something. Only if there is, so to speak, an understanding why you're doing the things you are doing, what the purpose is, what the goal is, what you want to achieve, then it becomes no longer, so to speak, work, then it becomes, so to speak, an art. No, it's like this guy from Barcelona, the young player, this Lamar, you know what I'm talking about? He's not in a way working soccer, but he's in a way, he's doing an art. And the thing is, try to do the same thing with quality assurance. And of course, that's the one challenge, and then we, in a way, are rating a university from 0, nothing is there, to 4, which is world-class or best practice. And then, in a way, you in a way can make a benchmarking system and say, I would like to learn from the Czech university which has best practice. I see that you're looking at the watch, so that's my last one. Today you're talking, you have the interesting topic of discussing where the Czech higher education system is going for. You're preparing a new education law, you have to rearrange the positioning of your own quality assurance agency, the bureau, famous bureau, National Bureau for Accreditation, I think it's called. which until this very day is not compatible with the European standard and guidelines because the role of the ministry is not quite clear. So there's a problem there. That's why the Czech study programs are not included into the international databases. That's why the Czech graduates are suffering from the, so to speak, negative impact when it comes to recognition of degrees. But maybe, since you are now discussing this topic, you will find in this group here and in the course of those 2 days arrangements which are in a way suitable. And I hope that my presentation, which was more general in nature, might give you some ideas of how, in a way, to position yourself in the future and how to modernize your system. And here I was showing this when I look internationally what's going on. It's like a pendulum, no? You have some systems which are very much looking into like control. It's a lot about like counting. It's a lot about of providing information. And on the other side, you have more or less like this self. In my own country, the universities have a self-accrediting status. They are in charge of their own system. And you will find every system is going back and forth. And you as a Czech community, you probably have to find the ideal point. How are you going to balance autonomy of higher education institutions with the need to, in a way, provide information for the general public when it comes to quality assurance? I hope it was not too boring. I thank you very much for your attention, and I hope this provides some input. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Iring, for your presentation. We will slowly move to the presentation of Jakub, and I will maybe just say one thing which is important for alliances. I think, yeah, just yeah. Okay, last slide, yeah.
I didn't show you about this. This is all like didn't show you. Didn't have the time. But here's like at least at the end my contact. So if any questions or so, you'll find here my contacts.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so we can move to Jakub's presentation, but just one comment about the European standards and alliances. We have now a classic, I think, sentence from General Secretary of UDRES Alliance, from which is also Rodrigo, and he said it's very important. One sign of equality, or one thing is we have a trust, because our agency are or university are accredited by agencies which are in ECAR and DICAR. So unfortunately, Czech institution it's not yet. So they have no chance to be UDRES alliances, but we hope that will change in future. Okay, Jakub, hello to Brussels. I hope that you hear us.
Hello, Jan. Actually to Krakow, as this wedding that we were mentioning at the beginning is happening in Poland, so I already came back here. Okay. It's great to be here, and I hope you hear me well. Do you hear me well?
Yeah.
Or you hear so? We can change the microphone.
Maybe you can speak a little louder, a little bit, but okay. You don't need to scream, so it's fine.
I will change the microphone because that's a primary issue. Do you hear me now?
Yes.
Better?
I think same, but it's fine.
Okay, then nothing we can do. Maybe that's the volume in the room. Yeah. So yeah, thank you so much, and it's great to actually speak after Iring, because he is putting so much excitement into quality assurance topic always, that it's very refreshing and hearing Iring saying as well. And I'm gonna try to step back a bit from the context of the national country and try to give you a bit of a understanding where we all are placed in this system, at least in Europe reality, because we as Eurasia, we are involved in this process. And I'm Jakub Grodecki. I'm working in the organization that is as one of the stakeholders in Brussels, co-shaping the next ESGs, the revision of the ESGs, but in general the European higher education area. But before I will go into the detail, I've been asked to some sort of bring back some memories and the history of like why we ended up here in the revision process, in the ESGs in general, and then I will share with you some remarks and some future thoughts on where we will be heading on when it comes to the revision of our common standards and guidelines, because we have to understand that exactly every country has its own priorities, its placement, its modalities, and its states of development, that we cannot simply with a one framework unify it all. But what we can do is to give a framework that we can base the standards on. So I will share my presentation now. And let's start. Just tell me, Jan, if you see the full screen and I can go on, because I cannot see myself. I don't know.
We are not in presentation mode.
Maybe it's logging in. Maybe it's coming there. So for me, it's a full screen already, and I do not use the.
We say just a classic presentation, but maybe if we were switching slide, it would be enough.
Try to press F5.
F5, yes, as Rodrigo said, yeah. Or Eric. We'll see what works or not.
Yeah, I did a F5.
No changes at all.
That's very strange, because for me it's a full screen and I did the F5 as well. So.
Oh, well, maybe just change a slide. We will see it with changing slide, and we can stay in this mode. It's better than.
Do you see the slide changing at least?
No.
No. Okay. Then I think we go.
Now,
like
yes,
that.
yes, it's moved.
Okay.
So small move for big move for us. So we can speak now and change.
So it is a full screen and a different slide.
Yeah, different slide. It's not absolutely full screen, but it's good. It's fine.
Okay. Okay. Perfect. So I'm gonna start, and as I said, very shortly about European higher education area, where we all belong as a European countries, not only European Union, the current state of play and the timeline when it comes to ESG revision and its future, and the next steps and the questions that are in the air, which will be discussed in the next couple of good months. I would say 1.5 months, 1.5 year from now on would be the revision process. So just before we start, and I was telling you about the stakeholder reality, it's not enough resources in every single institution in Europe to be close to the European developments, what happens in Brussels, what happens in the Bologna process. Therefore, different organizations, different stakeholders has its representation in Brussels to be close to the policy. And we are one of them. We are representing applied sciences in higher education. There is European University Association representing universities. Possibly many of you as a members are in EUA. When it comes to Czech Council, we are a member of Eurasia, but we try to represent the voices from all across the Europe. Students has their own representation in the European Students' Union, and the Network for Quality Assurance in ENQA, the QA agencies has their network over there. So we are trying to maintain this dialogue closely with the stakeholders and try to cater it down to the countries, to the hundreds and thousands of institutions that are existing in Europe. And before we go any further with the QA topic, let's bring back a story on how it started and why, because quality assurance is just a part of the bigger framework that was aimed to actually connect better the Bologna countries, which means European countries, to achieve better mobility and better system cohesion to allow for a more smooth mobility of the students and staff within the European higher education area. And of course, to do that, there was a lot of talks on how to build this trust and on which framework this trust can be built. Iring was mentioning the example of the database for quality assurance of the reports, which is supporting quality assurance. And if you are in this database, you somehow build a very big building block for your institutions to be registered in this ECAR database, and therefore the students interested in collaboration, the international officers who might be founding the programs between the institutions will have a trusted source that your programs are in certain database. Yeah, that's just one of the examples. But yeah, the European higher education area was growing, and Czech Republic was from the very beginning, from 1999, within the European higher education area. And then the different achievements and tools came forward. The first quality assurance standards, the framework, was adopted in 2005 in Bergen, and the first revision took place 10 years later in Yerevan. So most of the quality assurance tool based on the ESGs and the standards of the European standards and guidelines, as you know now, have been revised in 2015. And now we are getting to the revision in 2027. We're going to get into that. So this whole process was steered by the Bologna follow-up group, which prepares the ministerial conferences, and all of the ministers in Europe are agreeing to the certain direction where and how we want to collaborate. The communiques are setting the priorities and objectives for each working period. It aims to support this interoperability, the mobility, recognition, and competitiveness, and the role of the stakeholders is crucial. That's quite interesting in this process that is very stakeholder-led. There is a voice given to the stakeholders, to the institutions, to the students, and at the end, of course, it ends up on the ministers' tables, but how this all is being shaped is happening on the way from the ministerial to the ministerial with a very strong voice of the stakeholders there. So we are part of the so-called E4 group, which is the 4 organizations I've been telling you, and the same group was responsible for the first draft of the ESGs more than 20 years ago, and its revision later.
Jakub, do you move slides?
Yes.
Can you move slides, or did you?
Yeah, I'm moving them.
Ah, we didn't see it. It's stuck on the second one. I was.
Okay. So from the beginning, do you see my PowerPoint now?
Yeah. Now it's moving. Ah,
okay, so that's Russia. That's Bologna process. That's communiques, and here we are with the ESGs. Okay.
Very like MTV style. Yeah.
Exactly.
Perfect. Now it's moving.
So I'm gonna just stay with this mode until the end, because I don't think it's gonna work, but I think it's big enough. So yeah, this is those are the standards that we are of course working with right now. That's how institutions, agencies, and countries are setting their framework at. But of course, I've been saying at the beginning, the ESGs is a standardized document to give an idea how the framework would be set. It has its own principles, but it doesn't mean that the country has to follow up and not go beyond any ESG, any standards that are there. There are many studies actually showing how countries are going beyond the ESGs, which direction they want to move their education system, but this giving at least this uniformity when it comes to the minimal standards being ensured, and that's how agencies are compliant with the ESGs in the process of registration of ECHA. So there are certain principles in the QA, in the European higher education area as defined in the ESGs. First of all, the higher education institutions have a primary responsibility for the quality of their provision and its assurance. The quality assurance responds to the diversity of higher education systems, institutions, programs, and students. That's a very important principle, sometimes overlooked, because every quality assurance visit starts with actually the mission of the certain institution, should start with the mission of the institution. That should be a framework adopted to give a liberty to set the main priorities for the institutions and then to serve the quality enhancement of it, not the other way around. It is seen rather that the quality assurance shouldn't drive the policy and priorities, but should check whether the priorities and policies are being implemented, right? The quality assurance should also support the development of the quality culture. What Iring was saying with looking at the mirror, that's very high level of advancement when it comes to the culture. It starts from the lack of information, it starts from the low level of participation until the true understanding of the quality culture by the different stakeholders within the institution, but also in the national system. And it should also take the account the needs and expectations of students, all other stakeholders, and the society. That's the bigger picture where we see principle of quality assurance as defined in the ESGs. And there are some statements to remember while working on implementing QA systems in a country and in the institution as well, that you cannot achieve quality assurance. It's a process and ultimately the culture. So it's not that you achieve it once and it's set. It's a constant cycle. That's quite obvious, but sometimes I've been hearing the speakers and rectors having the ultimate goal of achieving quality assurance. That's not really ever possible, because you cannot really achieve a quality assurance. You can achieve a temporary high quality of education, but it can always go down in cycles with its quality, and so on and so on. The QA needs to work for the need of a place where it's developed. There is no one-size-fits-all solutions. The standards are there to ensure minimum requirements. I've been saying that everything beyond that is a room for ambition and innovation. Actually, that's another topic, how standards should allow for this ambition and innovation to grow, because we don't want to also make the framework to cap the ambitions of the regions, of stakeholders and so on. And the stakeholder involvement and co-ownership of the systems by all actors is a basis. One slide here, I think that was similar to the degree of advancement from the previous presentation. It's the same with the stakeholders involvement in quality assurance and in the European higher education area. If you wish to look further, there is a guideline for external stakeholders involvement in quality assurance from ESQA project. You have the link below this graphic. But exactly, we are speaking from the absence of any structural involvement of stakeholders, named by students, academics, to co-creation and involvement of all stakeholders and co-ownership and co-responsibility of the decisions and the growth of the strategy. So that's a title of introduction, where it comes from, where we were with the standards, with the current ESGs, and how everybody's trying to play this game of developing their systems on the country level according to a certain major principles. And I will go very much now to the ESG revision process on how, why, and when it's actually happening soon. And about that, before I'm going there, don't worry in the sense of happening soon. There is, of course, a time set to be agreed by the ministers, but it's nothing different, nothing from that imposing that it's going to be one day and so on. There will be periods of adoption, there will be guidelines for adoptions and so on and so on. So it's not that is something missing out. It's just a mandate for the revision granted by ministers. How it was given? It was given in 2024 in Tirana, when there was a mandate given by the ministers to revise the ESGs, to propose a revised version by 2026 to the Bologna follow-up group, which is the coordination body in the Bologna process, to be adopted by ministers by 2027 in the ministerial conference in Iași, Chișinău, Romania, Moldova in 2027. Also, in parallel, the revision of the European approach for the quality assurance of joint programs was included in the ministerial communique. What we as stakeholders did, because we were mandated to do that as, let's say, the old co-writers and co-revisitors in there, we've been preparing some work before the mandate actually was given, because that was our expectation, that who else would have also the capacity and knowledge what really institutions want, the students want, the ministries want, and so on. So we tried to gather some knowledge before. So we had a project called QA Fit, and for all of those interested how it grew and what are the outcomes, you can see the outcomes on the webpage of the QA Fit project. It was a comprehensive mapping exercise of the state of play between external quality assurance, the critical look on the ESGs, what works, what is most important for different stakeholder groups, and where actually we see the ESGs heading. And when we are talking about the ESGs heading, I will tell that later a bit in a second, it's not as easy as it could be. The example of findings can be like that. So we will find in the publications examples like that when it comes to high degree of relevance, middle degree of relevance, what is relevant and what are the priorities for the different stakeholder groups, and so on and so on. How the revision process is organized: there's ESG steering committee and the drafting group, where the stakeholders are putting, let's say, pen to the paper and coordinating the overall process, the consultations, the further submission to the Bologna follow-up group, leading consultations rounds with the key stakeholders inside the institutions, outside of the institutions. There have been plenty of sessions also in ECAF. Whoever is very interested in European quality assurance, the ECAF is an event to go. So the next one is taking place in Budapest in November. That's a strong advertisement here for the event there. And the final version, as been saying, will be presented for the first PFUG, where this will be the topic of the agenda in Copenhagen during the Danish presidency in December this year. So that's a process, and let me use the last couple of minutes for the future steps and findings and key questions and dilemmas that we are working with. So what works from the perspective of all users. Yeah. So first, where we agree. The universal acknowledgement of the importance of the European quality assurance framework was given. We like the ESGs just mostly because of the role of that is unifying the different quality assurance systems. It allows for the getting into the systems. There are of course different stages of maturity. There are a couple of countries with 4th and 5th stage of now revision of their quality assurance agencies and the system functioning, whereas some countries are just stepping in on that path, right? So the flexibility of the system and supporting manner how countries are supporting and peer-to-peer learning from each other is well received. The ESG main focus is a supporting development of learning and teaching, putting trust in the recognition of qualifications, student mobility and quality culture. That's also working from what we've been researching amongst different stakeholders, and the basic principles I've been mentioning before remain relevant. How are the first outcomes and key considerations for the ESG revision? There needs to be some sort of clarity in the introduction part, and whoever here in the conference, I doubt that every of you knows ESG by your heart. You will see that it's constructed by the introduction and then 3 parts, right? Pertaining to the internal quality assurance of the institution, the external quality assurance of QA agency checking upon institution, and then the internal quality assurance of the agencies themselves. So when it comes to internal quality of institutions, of course, because the last revision was 12 years ago, we didn't know about the existence of AI, of further digitalization, of the diversity of learners as we have now, in the sense of different modes of learning, the more flexible learning pathways, linking with other institutional missions. We've seen growth in the relevance of research and the third mission to the society, and how we are also going into the direction what Rodrigo will be telling about the transversal topics and international collaboration, and how to make this framework more working for the needs of the new frameworks like European alliances. When it comes to external quality assurance, there is always this dilemma how to ensure the flexibility and how to balance the accountability with enhancement, and how to also make ESGs complementary with other frameworks and tools like European approach for joint programs, the cross-border quality assurance, and the recently very strong European education area framework. Maybe you had a chance to see the Council recommendations that have been adopted on the 12th of May this year, that are also including the references to the quality assurance, to the European standards and guidelines as well, but very strongly focusing on European alliances and the European degree. When it comes to key considerations as well, we have to recognize the existing purposes of the ESGs as relevant and valid, maximize the added value of EHA standards, celebrate diverse context, situate quality assurance in learning and teaching in its broader context, so also in the third mission, the mission to the society and the research, and balance current issues with the long-term relevance. And there are some meta questions and dilemmas. The main challenge is how to balance the roles of ESGs and both an enhancement tool and a compliance instrument. In many countries, it has a very different roles. And should ESG primarily support international cooperation or national system development? Can ESG successfully serve both innovation and ensure at the same time minimum quality assurance? And also there is still unresolved tension between exactly this enhancement and accountability. That's why the openness and quite flexible form how ESGs are constructed and give a certain degree of flexibility is crucial to make this whole system working with each other, but at least maintain basic standards. Another questions or dilemmas are widening the scope, and whether widening the scope of the quality assurance of the standards and guidelines will not dilute the ESG's clarity or usability. Because from what we observe is not often understood the same way that ESGs are not the tool for quality, but they're rather tool for quality assurance architecture, right? So there are calls from very different sides to include social dimension, fundamental values, digitalization, lifelong learning, and so on, employability, relevance for the labor market. But you have a different resistance across stakeholder groups. But first of all, the main risk is shifting from being a standardized QA architecture for the quality itself. So it has to be clearly said that ESG shouldn't limit the ambition of the institutions, the ambitions of the higher education systems, of the higher education system of the country level and so on, the ambitions of the country, its institutions, regions, and so on, but rather focus on the architecture. But the topics are there, and of course we cannot not mention a couple of them. So that will be the discussion also between the ministers in upcoming year on what we really want to put emphasis on, because at the same time we want to be competitive. We have goals on the European level. We have a certain global situation and the situation of the European higher education area globally. We want to be competitive as an attractive for learners across the globe. And I think I will build the bridge here to Rodrigo with what is happening in parallel, because as the aim is to speak about the European University Alliance here, just for you to understand how it's coming together. The Council recommendations for quality assurance and recognition that was adopted 2 weeks ago is a policy push on the European level. But of course, we are speaking about the European education area that somehow allows to go beyond the European Union. But there are flagship initiatives, and we want to we have to recognize that those council recommendations are clearly referring to the ESGs, and most likely we will end up in the situation where the ESGs will also have either supporting documents or have a supporting role in providing as well these topics. Especially, we have a very well established quality assurance systems in the countries that it would be a strange, I think, direction to move further away from that. But to exactly fulfill this push from the European Union for fulfilling these frameworks, it's going to be some work done in the integration of those systems, and the cross-referencing from one to another is functioning. So that would be a bridge. When it comes to takeaway message and overall, I think the quality assurance needs to continue building the co-ownership and trust, the enhancement, the long-term. It's also the long-term investment. But at the end of the day, I cannot leave my past student union heritage in the past years from European Students' Union, where the student-centered approach is a key, and there are certain stakeholders at the center of all of these endeavors. So thank you very much for the presentation. It was a pleasure, let's say, to be online. That's so pleasure, right? I would love to be with you in Telj today. Unfortunately, as Jan was saying, the quality assurance of weddings is my specialization this season. So that would be it from my side. I'm glad to be there, at least in online. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jakub. It was a very interesting presentation, and we will now move to the last but not the least presentation from Rodrigo, and he will show us how deal with the quality assurance in Portugal. By the way, in Portugal it's interesting, they have like binary systems, but they try to put both sides, like University of Applied Sciences, the polytechnics and universities together. So for instance, polytechnics in Portugal can now have a study program, doctoral study programs. And as last week was the conference of Ministry of Education focusing on professional education sector, and there was the colleague from also Portugal, president of Polytechnics in Porto Alegre, vice president of Portugal Polytechnic. He said it's just about the quality. If you have quality for that, we can do it. Okay, Rodrigo, I will give you mic, and you can continue.
Thank you. Hello. First of all, I apologize because I have to sit here in my chair because I have a problem with my eyes, so I have to look for the monitor, okay? Sorry for that. I want to, first of all, thank you for the organization, of course. Thank you to all the people that have been involved in the organization, to receive us, to invite me. Thank you, Jan. Thank you, Katka, for all the best stay here. Thank you, Jan, to invite me to this conference. It's a great honor to be here with you. Thank you to be here to listen to us. I hope it can be useful. It's a great honor and it's a great pleasure. And especially in this 25 years of the conference. So it's congratulations. I think it's very, very important, this type of conferences. We don't have it in Portugal, but we have here, so congratulations for that. Well, I'm trying to my perspective of higher education institution about quality assurance. Of course, my colleagues have done a lot of information, a lot of good presentation, so I have talked about me, but don't expect too much my presentation, okay? Just a little small perspective of a small higher education institution in Europe. My presentation will be in 5 points. First of all, of course, I have a small institutional context of Polytechnic of Setúbal, about external quality assurance in Portugal, about our internal system and relationship with the European standard and guidelines, the European alliance, as my colleagues tell, and the challenge that I think it's going to be, or we think it's going to be important for quality assurance. It's for us as an institution, for Portugal, and of course for the Alliance. Well, about Polytechnic of Setúbal, we are a medium higher education institution in Portugal. We have since 2,000 students, near of under 800 teachers, 200 non-teaching staff, and 44 research, which means 9,000, 10,000 academic community. So it's a medium higher education institution, bigger, and the system Polytechnic system, as Jan said, but for Portugal we are a medium higher education. We are located near of Lisbon, which for us is very good because it's one of the most rich area in Portugal. We have 2 campuses, but we also have degrees in other area of Lisbon and also in Alentejo. We work in Lisbon in the Madora, Lisbon, Loures, and we also work in Alentejo, and especially in Sines will be, if everything is going right, will be our 3rd campus will be in Sines. As I said, we have 2 campuses now, 5 schools. One in Setúbal campus we have engineering and technology, social business, social science, education, sports, business, science, healthcare. In Barreiro campus we also have engineering and technology. It's different from Setúbal. Well, it's 2 different schools. In Setúbal we have mechanic, traditional engineers, and in Barreiro we have new engineers, something like that. We have 130 courses, 24 level 5 higher professional technical courses, 29 degrees, 26 I don't know if that, yeah, 26 master degrees, 6 postgraduate programs, and now 44 micro-credential. Ingrid talk about micro-credential, and we have already a lot of them, but we try to have more micro-credentials. We are in the top of deployment in Portugal. Why? Because of our location. It's near Lisbon, as I said, so we have a lot of industry, a lot of companies, so it's good for us, lucky. But we have internship integrated in our curriculum. We have practical and laboratory training. We have strong link with the companies in the regions, and we have courses development together with the labor market. We have a big relationship with our stakeholders, external stakeholders in the regions. But we also have a lot of activities for the students. We have Employee Week, we have career development workshops and seminars, passport for employment, and mentoring alumni. This is for us is very important because of one word that I will talk during the presentation, but I will reinforce in the end, which is in the impact. For us, impact now it's more important than everything. We have research centers. We have 5 research centers. MARE, which for research center for Marine and Environment Science Center. We also have CAKV, which is a research center for life quality research center. Algorithmi, it's information and communication technology and electronics. Yeah, that's right. Sprint, sports, physical activity and Health Research Innovation Center, and we have also SKA, it's a Center for Structural and Chemistry. And we are also a sustainable and inclusive campus. We are one of the top most sustainable higher education institution in Portugal. We are eco schools, we are eco campus, we have actions in the surrounding community. We have volunteers work and a lot of activities in sustainability. And now we are part of European University Alliance. Now, yeah, since 2020, we are was in the first cycle of the European alliances. We are part from EUDROS, which means Engagement European Entrepreneurs University and Driver for European Smart and Sustainable Regions. Okay, forget it. I don't remember. Just EUDROS. I talk about EUDROS. I don't know what we are doing there, but it's very important for us. We are with St. Pölten, Austria. We are UCL in Belgium, Young in Finland, Fulda from Germany, Matt from Hungary, Via from Latvia, UPT from Romania, and Saxion from Netherlands. 9 institutions and Polytechnic of Setúbal of Portugal. It's a big challenge for us because we want a great European campus serving as inspiration for the development of a progressive society creating smart and sustainable regions. Wow. We are focusing 4 topics: health, well-being, social inclusion for regions, digital solution and applied deep tech for regions, resilience economy and innovation for regions, and creative industries for regions identity. So for us is a very, very big challenge. I will talk a little about European, so don't have too much expectation. But I'll talk a little about University Alliance, especially for quality assurance. Well, quality assurance, external quality assurance in Portugal. We have an agency, only one, not like in Germany, they have a lot of them. We are only one, it's a public, just like you have here, a public agency that now are focused they are changing the mindset. At the beginning, they are focused in the programs, but now they are focused in the institution, accreditation institution. That is the very big challenge in the last 2 years. For us, it's very, very important. I'm trying to explain why are important. We are, Polytechnic of Setúbal, have a full accreditation for 6 years. We can have a partial accreditation for 1 year, for 2 years, or for 3 years, or a full accreditation for 6 years. In Portugal, we only have 33% of higher education have the full accreditation. Most of them public institution. The other is most of the other are private institution. In the system of Polytechnic, only 55 have the full accreditation. Why? One of the topics that we have this full accreditation is because of the quality assurance. They told us that we have quality policies very well defined, and its quality structures are established and in a very good function level. A quality culture has been adopted by the institution with tested and functional feedback mechanisms. The IPS offer robust, varied, and comprehensive educational programs. There is responsive to the identified needs of the players. The institute seeks to establish strong collaborative relationship with these employers. This is what they wrote about our quality system, which was very good. I don't know if they saw everything, okay, but they believe in us, okay, it's good. Yeah, it's very wine there. Yeah, but what is this important accreditation means? It means at first that agency is more focused on strategy and the procedures, not in the program but in the institution. What is the strategy? What is the procedure? What is the instruments? And then we have a simplified approval of the programs. The agency allocates fewer resources to institutions in which they have more trust. We have more great autonomy of higher education in approving study cycles with more simplified procedures, and is increased demands on the quality assurance system. This is the implication that now we are working in Portugal with quality assurance accreditation. So, what I'm going to try to explain with why they believe in us, why they trust in us. Maybe it's because we are doing something good, I don't know, but I'm trying to explain to you what kind of things can I share, maybe can be useful to discuss. I'm going to relation our quality assurance system with the European standard and guidelines about the quality, policy of quality, about relation with strategic management, about the structures and the procedures and involving stakeholders, as already said in the presentations. The design of the approval, the regulation, the competence of the teachers and the monitor. Of course, is more, but I think this is very most important topics. About the policy for quality assurance, we have this policy responds to the needs of our stakeholders by integrating and consolidating the activities we carry out, based on up-to-date and reliable information that allows us to permanently improve our performance and the results obtained in the various spheres of action. Two strong ideas, stakeholders, and all the activities that we have, not only in teaching and learning, but all the activities are engagement with this policy of quality assurance. As a part of a strategic management, we have a strategic plan, of course. We have an annual action plan. We have annual schools plan, and we have annual service plan, and we have management objectives and employers objectives. Everything this is integrated. So every person know in the objectives what are their contribution to the strategic plan. This is our objective. Everybody knows what can improve in our institution. Of course, relating with a strong continuous improvement with the PDCI and a strong process management. Of course, not everything is good, not everything function, but we're trying to improve every year to do it better with involving the people. We have structures, a process involving also the stakeholders. This is how a structure, maybe it's, you haven't to see the structure. This three levels. Yeah, three levels, okay? Strategic level, we have a strategic management. It's president, school deans, and advisor board, for quality advisor board, which are with external stakeholders and the students. This is the board that approve all the policy of the quality assurance in our institution that the president and the deans have to implement. A second level is we call the process management level. This is process management level. We have local local management and institutional level that are responsible to monitor and implement the improvement of all the process. And we have operational management, which we have a unit that coordinates all the operational system. And we have local and institutional improvement units. And we have also, degree evaluation and monitor commissions. That is small commissions that are responsible for evaluation of all degrees that we have that involve external stakeholders and also involve the students. So we have 3 levels of our structures. We also have a process for design and approval the programs. We have guidelines for design the study programs based in 7 principles. Curriculum, flexibility, transversal skills, pedagogical innovation, internalization, autonomous work, distance education, relationship with the community. All the courses, all the degrees that want to have a restructure or design have to be based in these 7 principles, and we have a process to approve. We have a preliminary version. We have appraised by all the bodies of the schools and of the top of the level of the structures, as I said. And we have a final version and approve of the final version and submission to the agency. This is for us to guarantee that all the bodies and all the study cycles are internal validated for the responsible bodies and responsible. About regulation covering all the phases, we have academic regulation activities that includes many topics: access and admission, enrollment and registration, year transition, knowledge assessment, complaints, calendar, tuition fees, scholarships, certification documents, international students, micro-credential, internships, mobility, special statutes. We have regulation for this and more, of course. And we also assure the competence of our teachers. We have teachers planning since 2017. In the last year, as you saw in the last, we have 300 teachers involving in training plan. Our training is about innovative teaching strategy, research, about ethics, data analysis, the dissemination, about inclusion, gender equality, well-being, digital education, sustainability. Since 2022, we have pedagogical innovation as a variable in teacher evaluation. And since 2024, pedagogical training for early career teacher. All the teachers have to have pedagogical training. And we have monitor and periodical review their programs. We have a student survey with the public dissemination of the academic community of agreement results, identification of critical and best practices, actions for higher failure rates, annual courses monitor reports, and procedures for the annual activities of monitoring evaluation of the study cycles. And now we have EUDROS, European Alliance. Well, we are, Polytechnic of Setúbal are responsible for quality assurance in the Alliance, and we have 4 objectives: quality assurance systems, joint quality assurance principles, regional impact assessments, regional impact reports, and cases collected. The first, it's a blue, was our 7 principles. We have to accord what we talk the same language about quality assurance. So these 7 principles was the most intensive work in the beginning. I'm not read all the 7 principles because we don't have too much time, but they are very one of the most important topic because now we can talk the same language. But for us, implication of the Polytechnic of Setúbal, this European Alliance, I think this is one of the most important. We have to think in a long term. We have to reinforce long-term thinking, where the most important thing is to create a real spirit of trust and collaboration between the partners. Step by step, doing concrete things, which is the most important. I believe that we can do things together, okay? If you can do it, we have a small step, but a strong step. This is the most important for us. We have learned in these 2 years. 2 years, but we have learned since for the last 5 years we are working in European. Think also strategy. Think strategically, increasing, reinforcing the association between the quality and the strategic decision. All the rectors from our alliance have to have a word about quality assurance, about our goals and our work. Change. We have to being willing to change, finding better way and more efficient ways to doing things well. And impact. If you want to have impact in the regions, we have to think more and more about the impact we want and not just how we do it. What kind of impact that we want, especially in the region. And learning. Integrating practice from other partners, institution, into the institutional practice, with a view of integrated continuous improvement. If we're not working in these 5 areas, I don't believe in the future of the European Alliance about quality assurance. Of course, joint degrees are important, of course, micro-credentials are important, but working all with the principles of quality assurance is very, very important. So, to finish, Jan, put this in a package. What can I say about the challenge for quality assurance? First of all, people. Listen to people, be clear about what we want, what the people want. Talking about quality means talking about people. Sometimes we are focused in strategy, in the process, and sometimes we forget the people, and who made the quality is the people. So we have to listen to people, involve the people, all the people, students, stakeholders, internal and external stakeholders. Trust. Create a culture of quality and trust. Well, I say that the culture of quality is a culture of trust. If we trust in our partners, yes, we are in a quality culture. But at the same time, as we talked yesterday, we have to have a management between the trust and the responsibility of the institution. More demanding internal system with higher education standards, internal responsibility. Flexibility. Less standardization and more digitalization, which simultaneously guarantee academic freedom and integrity. Strategy, a long-term consistent strategy approach is essential, and everyone participation is evident. And scope. For us, it's very important that we have to increase capacity of higher education internal system, which must be beyond the teaching and learning. Have to be involved the research, have to be involved the relationship, the transfer of knowledge to the community, and put it together. This is now where we are talking about how can we have a real impact in the society. How can we be useful for the society? How can we measure our impact to the society? This is our my perspective. Thank you so much. Thank you.
I have to say that my experience with European alliances is they try to be focusing on regional engagement. Currently, they are trying to do also some mapping exercise used to USA map for mapping their regional engagement. So they are really involved in that. And I will maybe start with first question to all of 3 speakers. And it will be like question if you can imagine that you have magic wand. And you can say, how can I design the ideal system of quality assurance? How should this system, this kind of system can look? But yeah, we're starting with hiring because you were speaking about pendulum, so where should be this ideal middle?
I would say that the challenge is, in a way, the transformation of mind is the magic wand. So when I today look at quality assurance systems, all systems are very good in describing what you do, you're perfect in a way, like the system sounds perfect.
Yeah,
now,
it
sounds like. But then I would expect if this system works well, I would expect that when you in a way create a self-assessment report, that goes very quickly. You in a way, when I ask a question in a setting, please don't describe to me how the quality assurance is actually organized, but tell me in 5 minutes, what are the major outcomes of your quality assurance findings? You hear usually like nothing, it's silence in the room. When I look today at the self-assessment reports, it's all about artificial intelligence. They are well written, but the substance is so small. Forget about those 100 pages, we would appreciate 20 pages of like a deep analysis, instead of using people's time to in a way describe how you're doing this. And this transformation is almost impossible. So if I had the wand, I would educate people, my own people, to in a way go along these lines.
Thank you.
Iring, I agree with you, because if you ask me what are my system are important, I will respond you, if you talk with anybody of my institution, maybe we will talk a little about quality. This is my response to you, because for us, in fact, if anybody of the institution can talk about quality, we are doing a good job. If it's not, if they don't know what it is quality, we are not doing a good job. We're not yet in that, but I think it's we are doing a way for that.
Okay, I think that was also a message that. Rodrigo was also one expert in the project called QLEAD, which was focusing on leadership in quality, and we also not about quality assurance, but really building quality culture. So we mentioned that everybody knows what is quality assurance, at least partly. And it's this kind of mirror, which you say on Cyprus was this nice example that we are responsible. Jakub, you as a Harry Potter, how you can change with this current system?
There's a certain resemblance, I say.
With the glasses, right? I think in the way.
Series.
There is a new series, right? I've seen some announcement. Coming back to my thought, what I wanted to say. But first of all, I think there are two levels of spells there. One is like a massive system spell, and the second one would be the institutional one. So on the institution level, I would really put by one spell some sort of a relevance to these processes, but not to, it's tough to expect that people will be excited by the quality assurance itself. They will be excited about the results and the growth and the enabling nature of QA. I'm a huge fan of the enabling feature of quality assurance, that it allows to bring in people to the decision-making process, to the enhancement processes that never had a chance to do that. So one spell would be simply awareness raising and kind of value understanding for the whole academic community. And the second spell on the national, let's say, system level would be, I would say, increasing relevance and maintain some sort of a stability between the different political systems, like from the system to the system. Because what's happening also now in the quality assurance reality is sometimes it's meddling up with political interference here and there. And I think a spell of stability in the terms of European higher education area in the individual countries would be a second one from my side. So that would be my answer to the question. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much. I would like to ask maybe if somebody audience have some kind of questions. Is there any kind of questions or not? At this moment.
Okay, and we collect many questions.
Yeah, we can later on.
5 or 10 questions, little ones.
But
not one-on-one, so lots of questions.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, maybe if I can, Rodrigo, as Erin mentioned, those mirrors and ciphers, I would like to ask you about some recommendations how build a culture that every people, everyone at your institution knows about his role in the system or his contribution to the quality culture.
Yeah, thank you so much. I don't have a recommendation. I have thoughts, and if you think it's good, okay. What we have done, all the things that we do in quality assurance, we listen to people. For instance, when we in 23 we have have to make a report about for institutional accreditation. All the people have been listened. Staff, non-staff teaching students, bodies, everybody. It was very hard work, but at the end, everybody recognized that that report is, in fact, the report of our institution. And that's what we're doing. It's listen and be real, be through with our institution, with the agency, with the other stakeholders. And that people recognize that what we are trying to do. Maybe not so important, the process, everything, but if we can listen what we are doing, and people know that they are doing it's better, they contribute to quality assurance, okay, that's my best thought. And we do it that, in fact. We listen and we incorporate the contribution to all the people, maybe one word, but the people that propose that word, when read the report, they identify that, oh, my word is there. Okay, that's good.
And maybe think out of the box. Isn't it amazing, colleagues, that all around the world, the same criteria apply? Doesn't matter whether you go to the Fiji Islands, the United States, we all have the same criteria, all the same procedures. Why is it that we all think that sending an expert group every 7 years is the best way forward? Why does nobody ever think of sort of changing or having like modifications? My first step with you regard to Yurashi and Iquar, I never understood why we don't take the 4 or 5 important principles, which are quality assurance, which are, for example, digitalization, which are sustainability. Why do we, in our own ESG, Jakub, why are we having a separate criteria on quality assurance? Why don't we force ourselves not to describe in abstract terms how the quality assurance system is organized? Why don't we integrate, get rid in the ESG, get rid of the quality assurance cycle, get rid of the sustainability cycle, but apply it to the concrete case of the student life cycle, examination system, whatever. So we are giving ourselves, when I talk to people, we are giving ourselves an excuse, and we can hide behind descriptive things. And in a discussion, you hardly ever, in an accreditation procedure, you hardly ever reach the point where you, in a way, discuss business. That's why I'm saying to my own people, we changed our process half a year ago. I am no longer interested. I'm telling my people, you write the accreditation report before you get to the university. It's ready. And if the university is not delivering the information, then we are not accepting the self-assessment report. I want the information to be clear. I don't want anybody during those 2 days to ask, can you please explain to me how this system works? This needs to be clear. Those 2 days need to be reserved to like a stimulating, so to speak, exchange of the checking and the acting part. What's interesting, the only thing which is interesting is, at the end of the day, how are you going to move forward in the next, not this description of the old thing. That I would do when I would revise the ESG. I would actually have this in mind to, in a way, modernize our system. And that I would do in a way to improve the internal system and to make ownership happen. That would be my suggestion.
Okay, Jakub, would you like to react on Iring? Or
no, I fully take, of course, I fully take this suggestion, and it has been appearing here and there. The biggest dilemma here is like what we do with the systems that do not function in place. Do we divide the entry ones to the most advanced ones, and then we give a full liberty to the advanced systems that might have their idea to be set? Because otherwise the standardization role is being diminished. And I take your point fully. It's a matter of also how countries are able to move away from, because like the tendency is, from what I'm observing, either speaking or hearing what BFUG group is saying, or hearing institutions, we don't want a change. Unfortunately, that's often conclusion from agencies, from institutions, from ministries, that we don't want a big change and derivation from the standardized text. And whatever goes as a plus, it's up to the systems, up to the institutions. That's the main dilemma. Do we want to leave a ground-setting document that indeed is saying what quality assurance is and has a specific standard on QA itself, versus just leaving it to the principles and then allowing for a loose translation that might be on the different sides of the axis. That's the current issue. But unfortunately, I think it's keeping the status quo is coming up often in the discussion. It's already I think a good direction that there is some openness to put in new issues, but unfortunately it's only adding, because from understand what you're saying is just reducing to the simplicity of couple of points and then going down to business, if I'm correct.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, I think I believe that you have maybe some questions in mind still, but I hope that you have enough intellectual food for thinking. And now it's time. Okay, thank you. Thanks all three panelists. One again, maybe some applause. Okay, it was here up to Krakow. It's very strong applause, boss. Thank you very much. Now, after coffee break, and it's now it will be more adventurous part, because the organizers prepare, because we are in adventurous city and the marvelous city of Telč. You have to move from this building to University Center of Masaryk University in Telč. You need to find it. I believe there'll be not so much difficult. I would recommend you to catch somebody experienced by hand and find your food here. And you can move, we will start at 3:30, we'll start 3 interactive workshops. I believe that you know which one go. There is a written in this magic badge from second side, if you newbie, look. There is a written which workshop is running. Czech system view from abroad is at room U9. Where is missing redundant in QA's P2, and experience with NAB guidelines in EU8. And if you survive workshops, yeah, then you have some break, you can look around the city, and then you come back in the evening at 7 p.m. and there start nice social evening with music, and maybe after singing by piano, very experienced participants. So thank you very much that you start with us here in this marvelous room, and let's go. Yeah.